Welcome back, State of Fluxers, which is what you are now called. I am here to give my thoughts on The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Season 1, or presumably the whole series, maybe, I don't know. Bottom line of this show, I dug it. It's a good show. I do think it is vastly inferior to WandaVision. But there's two reasons for that. One, sensibility of storytelling. I'm not a huge fan of big kind of espionage, sort of spy thriller kind of stuff, and that very much is what this show is. And number two, you can feel the weight of the pandemic happening in the show, especially as it progresses. And I'll touch on that a little bit more in a little bit. That said, where I land on this show is it is really quite good at the end of the day. It is a beautiful spiritual sequel to the Captain America trilogy, but this isn't like Toy Story 4 where it seems like it's tacked on epilogue. This feels like the reignition of a franchise that you didn't really necessarily know where it was going to go. That said, it is a strong, incredibly strong piece of storytelling at times, and incredibly rushed and overburdened at others. So, let's get into it. I think that the odd episodes were the strongest episodes, and the even episodes were a little on the weaker side. There's 6 episodes in total. I'm pretty sure that it was originally designed to be 8, but the pandemic hit. The pandemic hit this in the middle of production, or towards the end of production. They had to frantically rewrite. They were going to be huge centerpiece scenes shot in Italy, and that all had to go by the wayside. And it feels like it's a bit of a jarbled mess at times. That said, where it sings and soars, hey, like a bird, where it soars is in the character work that they did to firmly establish Sam as the Falcon, who is teetering on the edge of becoming Captain America, and on the Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier gets lost, especially in those last 2 episodes. But they do some excellent character work with him, and even though he's lost in those last 2 episodes, by and large, he has a key moment in both episodes that is very, very powerful to his story arc and where we're going to see him go next. But what they did with Sam was extraordinary. Sam is a character that has always been kind of likable because he's there, he's charming, played so well by Anthony Mackie, but you don't really get to know him too much. They do most of his character work in that first meeting of him in the Winter Soldier, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. You really get an introduction to him, and there's like little bits of pieces where you can construct who Sam really is, but this show gets down to the minutia of who he is and what makes him an important role in the MCU's future. I'll touch on that in a moment. Likewise, this is a continuation and exploration of the Winter Soldier, who we did get to know quite well in those first 2 Captain America movies, and they've done well with him in Captain America, the 3rd one. This is a spiritual successor to that storyline, where you see him trying to improve, and they kind of did an aspect of the TV show Angel, which I really liked, which is redemption isn't immediate. It isn't you're given it and you decide to be good, and you are good, and therefore you're a good guy now, even though you've done some bad things. It is constant, reach to be better, because you have these horrible things that you have done in your past, and you can't, maybe the world is ready for you to get over them, but you're not. And redemption isn't just given, it's something you work for every single day. And this is where you kind of see the Winter Soldier's storyline going, and it's really powerful. They introduce this story in the very first episode that pays off in the last one with an Asian individual. that I thought was going to be like an old war buddy of his from World War II or something, but that the story plays out very, very differently. It's revealed at the end of the first episode and lingers throughout the rest of the series on the back burner until it pays off. And he gets an incredible moment in Wakanda. You get a flashback to him being deprogrammed in Wakanda, and his performance in that moment is just like, he is going to get like an Emmy nomination for that. It's so good. And speaking of incredible performances, we have to acknowledge Sam Wilson's has a couple epic speech moments, and that's where you really get into who his character is and what he is and what he represents. When Chadwick Boseman passed away and they announced that they were not going to recast him and they were just going to retire the character of T'Challa as Black Panther, I felt like it was a very big loss, not only because we lost Chadwick, and I understand why you wouldn't want to necessarily include him. You give him a break for a little bit, his character a break for a little bit. But the thing that always impressed me with the Black Panther character, particularly in Black Panther and in Civil War, is that he's the only hero that listens to the villain and incorporates their beliefs into his own. He listens to Zemo in Civil War, and it's through his mercy that the ending of that story plays out, because Zemo, at the end of the day, even though he is a bad guy, he's not necessarily wrong in what he believes and what he has to say. Likewise, you get that with Eric Killmonger. He's right for all intents and purposes. He just goes about his actions in an incredibly wrong way. Black Panther incorporates those, and he intellectualizes what these characters mean and represent, and he's able to spew that back at the other people around him in really important ways. And losing that character, I think, is a disservice to the whole MCU, but I understand that. What this did is bring an element of that into the character of Sam. Sam is ever just trying to listen to the bad guys in this story and try to de-escalate the situation without having to use his fists. He certainly does and is capable when he has to, but I like multiple times over in this series the quiet moments where he's just talking with Carly and just trying to work it out verbally. That was really impressive to me, and I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the MCU as a whole moving forward because of this. I want to get into the last episode. The last episode is the one that I had the most struggles with, because I think it's easily, hands down, without question, the worst episode of the 6. But it was the one where it was most apparent that the pandemic had happened. The whole rush to the fight it feels rushed, not only in terms of like storytelling, but in scope. There's a couple of great action beats here and there, but the action is shot very frenetically. The camera is moving ever so much, and it just doesn't feel like how they shot any of the rest of the show. There's a lot of tight camera angles, probably because they couldn't get both actors together at the same time. Or something similar. Suddenly the bad guys who've already been established as having masks but never wore them in any of the battle scenes really beforehand suddenly are all wearing their masks so that the combat can happen. The first 20 minutes of this episode just stuck out like a sore thumb of, we have to end this, and this is the episode we have to do it on, even though this is probably not where the end game was originally going to go. Sorry, I rub my nose a lot. That's been pointed out to me, and I'm not going to stop because it's a thing. But anyway, moving forward. So after that first rushed, garbled 20 minutes, we have a really incredibly strong final 20 minutes. The moment that Sam establishes himself as Captain America and is talking to the senator, and gives this beautiful speech about how this mad titan, this god with wicked power, went to destroy the world and was successful, is not really any different than how this young girl has been manipulated by the world around her and shaped, and they're not dissimilar people. And then he goes on and speaks some very poignant things that really heavily weigh into our current situation with the world. So, especially with racial tensions so high. I think the strongest scene in any of the episodes was the scene when the cops interrupt Bucky and Sam screaming outside of the house in the second episode. Is just so frightening because it's so real. This kind of tapped back into that, and he uses sort of he makes some excellent points in his speech here, and then it continues on further. And the final moment of this show, where he takes the old super soldier to the museum to show him and honor him as he should have always been honored and has ever been overlooked. That scene brought me to tears. It's just gorgeous. And if this show did anything, it's make you fall in love with Sam and respect that he is now Captain America. I know there was some like hubbub online, or just general like kind of a reaction when he was given the shield at the end of Endgame, because so many people expected it to go to Bucky, but Bucky hasn't earned it yet, and I think Bucky will take up that mantle eventually. But it was Sam's turn, and this is really a smart way to get you to not only accept him as the new Captain America, but want to see more with him. He is so good. The reveal of the Power Broker, they telegraphed that ages ago. I called that like from basically her introduction episode, and that also felt rushed and didn't pay off. All the stuff with the new Captain America that they brought in worked for me. I liked it. You get to see, it makes some very subtle yet biting commentary on how our nation trains its veterans and conditions them to be merciless, and it goes back to that quote in the very first Captain America movie where it doesn't matter that you're an excellent soldier, you're a good man. That's why the serum worked on Steve Rogers the way it did, and why it doesn't on this fella. However, they tried to redeem him a little bit at the end, and that kind of worked for me, but they did nothing to earn it. So, like, even though it tickled me as a, like, yay, even though they're going to set him up to be a little more complex, presumably a complex villain, they didn't earn his being in that final episode. It worked for me a little bit, but especially the more you think about it, it really just doesn't pay off. Again, the pandemic hit, and the last two episodes just feel like rushed compared to those first four. That said, I'm going to give this, it's definitely stronger than 3 stars, so I'm going to give it 3.5, but it is a very, like, low-level 3.5 star review. It's very good at times and worth seeing, especially those final 20 minutes. And I'm curious to see where it takes us from here. They announced a 4th Captain America movie following Sam from the showrunners of the show, and so I'm very excited to see where they go with that. But I do think this show, even though I don't necessarily think it was designed to have a second season, might benefit from having a second one, just so they can further flesh out Bucky or give him his own narrative run in solo, because he does kind of get lost in especially these last 2 episodes. But anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and are you excited as I am for Loki? Loki looks like it's going to be all kinds of fun, and that's that's what we need. And I really like what these Marvel shows are doing. You have like a sitcom-y show that really is an incredibly detailed character deconstruction of Wanda, and is a slow build to reveal what she is and who she's really capable of being if she sets her mind to it. And then you have this, which is very light on the comedy and is very heavy on certain aspects of drama, but really tackles issues that even the movies haven't really tackled so much, except for Black Panther, like important societal issues. So I'm excited to see what Loki brings to the table. These two shows really hit a home run collectively, and I think had the pandemic not happened, this might have been the better show between this and WandaVision. So I'm curious to see what Loki has in store for us. But anyway, thanks again for watching. Bye.